Well, welcome to Gather, Learn, Heal, and Become. I'm Sana Calvert, and I'm one of the faculty of Sanctuary of Earth, as is Stephen Lease. And we created this event to help us all learn how to be and become during this great time of change and evolution. Just speaking from my personal experience, it just feels like there's so much change going on, not only in the world, in the 3D, but energetically is just as much, if not more, I would imagine, and can feel very disorienting and disruptive. So, we just wanted to have a place where we could all gather and that we can share and learn from each other to help us get through what feels like a very turbulent time. So we're meeting on second Sundays at 1:30 Eastern. So David, welcome to our little group. So the format for this session is that I will first start with a channeled message, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steph, who is our leading the conversation today. And by the way, we do rely on the generosity of participants. So if you're feeling at all wishing or able to donate, we'd very much appreciate that. I'll also put the link in the chat. But then I'll turn it over to Steph, who will lead our discussion. She'll be talking about the rites of the Munay Ki, and we'll have some time to chat and discuss. I'll end with a channeled message, and I'm also going to give away a free 30-minute reading, but I could probably tell who we should just give it to today. But we might get some others. So let's start with our channeled message. Hello, beautiful ones. You are the bright stars that have gathered today because you understand that your spiritual path and journey is so important in this day and age. On some level, you know that you are becoming. You may not know what you're becoming or what you'll be doing when you get there, although you also know there is no there, that it is a constant state of evolution. And what's most important is the beautiful journey, and even better when you're here to support each other in the process. Since every single one of us has a beautiful and unique role, it's a great big tent, there's no competition. And when we help and support each other and help each other become the ones that we are meant to be, doing the things that we're meant to do for our unique soul's purpose, then we could all thrive together and be in love and oneness again, which is our destiny as humans. So thank you for investing in yourselves today. Okay, so I always love the messages. They're always so sweet. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steph Eskins Gleason. She's a minister, Christian mystic, and student shamanism, and founder of VitaAnima.org. So Steph, thank you so much for leading the session today. And you've told me about this before, and I'm so grateful to get to have an experience with you today. So I'll turn it over to Steph.
It's really good to be with you guys. The Rites of Munay Ki is a topic I love to share, and it's one that I share often. I'm going to share my screen, if I could, Asana, and give you a little bit of background about the rites. And then for those of you who are interested in receiving the first rite in the series, after you learn more about it, you can stay on and receive it. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, awesome. Okay, so the Healer's Rite is the first of the Rites of Munay Ki. And I'll start with a little overview of the rites. This is a picture of Don Manuel Kespe and Don Alberto Sanca. And then at the far end in the dark color is Albert Vivaldo of the Four Winds Society. And he and his wife, Marcela Lobos, were my teachers for the rites. I took a class during COVID. I think it was the first English class where they both gifted people all of the rites, like over a period of 3 months, and certified us to pass the rites on to others. So that's another thing that I do. After people receive the rites, if they feel called to learn to pass them to other people, I teach them to do that as well. And Don Manuel Quispe was one of the elders or wisdom keepers in the Peruvian Andes. Back when the conquistadors conquered the area, most of the original peoples that were living there and practicing either assimilated or were killed. But the Quechua community that Don Manuel belonged to escaped high up into the mountains, living at 12,000 to 15,000 feet above the mountains for over 500 years without much, if any, contact outside of their communities with the rest of the world. And so their ways were preserved intact, and these lineages are being passed to us the way they were passed at the time, with some modifications that they helped Alberto create to the rites so that their essences could be passed, even if the some of the traditional ways of working with them weren't. For example, cocoa leaves are used often, and here in North America we don't have cocoa leaves, so there could be a substitute in ceremonies that involve that. And the reason Don Manuel passed the rites to Alberto is because he and other wisdom keepers in the Quechua tradition, they're called Pacos, not shamans. Shamans are believed to be a specific lineage from Mongolia. But he and the other Pacos were receiving messages that it was time for them to come down from the mountains and begin passing the rites to the whole world. And that involved finding somebody who could speak English or Spanish to live with them. Alberto was a graduate student and a researcher in medical anthropology in California, and he received a grant to travel down to the Amazon jungle and the Andes to do medicinal research on plants there. And he was greeted by some Pacos who told him that he was the one they had been waiting for. He was the bridge to help pass the rites to the world. And he said, "We have been the keepers of the rites that usher in who we are becoming as a people and as a planet. But these processes are not only for the Indians, but for the entire world." Munay is the Quechua word for love, and love in the sense of the way the sun shines, indiscriminately, with compassion and kindness for all. And I love that they use chi as the word for energy, because that's a Japanese word, or spelled Ki, a Chinese word. Because to me, it signifies the many different traditions in the quantum field, regardless of where you live or your culture or your, identity. But these lineages are timeless across culture, and they work together to help support people. And they're a way to accept an invitation to shed the past and learn to live in right relationship with all beings and the planet. They connect us deeply to a way of living where we understand that we're interconnected with all things, and where we learn to give and flow in reciprocity and in abundance and beauty. So as you begin receiving the rites and working with the lineages, you feel this new energy come into your life, and it's really beautiful. There are 10 rites, and the first 4 that you see listed here are often called technical rites. The healer's rite has a lineage, and it's how we begin the journey, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the bands of power and protection is a rite for learning to put energetic bands around yourself so that if energies that are not what you need come to you, that they can be transmuted by the elements. And the harmony rite is a rite for coming into right relationship, meeting the archetypes, and it involves an energetic installation and upgrade, as does the Seers Rite. The Seers Rite is given as a way to help you with your clair senses or your telepathy, those kinds of things. And then the others are higher frequencies. So we often say, in order to receive the Daykeeper's Rite and the others listed here, you have to have worked with the Healer's Rite, usually for at least a month, so that your energetic field can adapt and upgrade so that it can receive the frequencies. And there are two principles in the longer classes that I give. We go into a lot more about this, but for now, it's important to know these are Quechua words. Aini is being in reciprocity and right relationship with others, and knowing that you're always receiving, blessing others, and receiving blessings when you're in the flow. And Aini helps you be in the flow. The lineage of healers that you receive with the Healer's Rite teaches you how to give when it's appropriate and how to do it in a healthy way, how to draw boundaries and, not give too much, those kinds of things. And Ayu is the word for community. When you receive a rite, that lineage immediately starts supporting you as part of your family when you do the integration exercise that I'll give you at the end, or for the others that are given to you at the end. And you begin to notice these synchronicities happening in your life. You meet people that have the same values as you. You become part of a spiritual community of medicine people. You become a medicine person. So the Healer's Rite was gifted from the Highland Cueros in Peru. And this seed, all of the rites are given as seeds, connects you to a lineage of healers from the past. And they are the best support I can imagine for your own personal transformation. You receive the seed, and whether you do anything with it or not is up to you. But as you begin to nourish the seed, you begin to awaken this healing power and become a medicine person yourself, so that everyone you touch is being blessed, just like you're being blessed. It's like you're a conduit for the lineage to pass blessings and healing along. We, of course, start with our own healing, and I'll talk more about that later. But you access this spiritual assistance from ancient healers who have been living, at one time on Earth, but now in the quantum field, and are here to assist us at this really important time. In Quechua, the blessing is called the Hampai Karpai. Hampai is the name of the lineage, and Karpai is the word for initiation or rite or blessing. And the lineage guides us on our path and helps us learn to pay attention to what's unhealed in us. We learn that we have shadows that are waiting to heal, and we learn that there really are no such thing as perpetrators, victims, and rescuers. I'm sure you've all seen the triangle of perpetrators, victims, and rescuers. But those are not outside of us. The experiences we receive that cause us to label others or ourselves are there as a mirror to show ourselves that that's an aspect of us that needs to be healed. And we get support in learning how to heal and how to turn our old wounds into sources of wisdom and compassion so that we can become healers for others. We learn to become what we want to see in the world, and we learn to become the ones we've been waiting for. This time is often called the Pachacuti time. That's what this lineage calls it. You have probably heard other people refer to this time cycle that we're in as maybe the Kali Yuga or the Aquarian age. They're all tuned in to the same thing and the same cycles of time. And this is how these people decided to work with those energies and have themselves be part of the healing that needs to happen on Mother Earth for her and for all of her children. And this is a quote from Marcela Lobos from the Sacred Andean Codes. The seeds of the Munay Ki take root at the core of our being in the fruitful darkness of our personal unconscious in order to nudge us toward a conscious evolution. And I invite you to close your eyes as I read that again. The seeds of the Munay Ki take root at the core of our being in the fruitful darkness of our own personal unconscious in order to nudge us towards a conscious evolution. So just sort of feel that possibility as it resonates through your body and your luminous energy field and the invitation that comes with it. There's a great book. This is the Sacred Andean Codes that Marcella wrote. When people take classes with me or receive the rites from me in a in-person format or a longer format, I usually recommend the Sacred Andean Codes. It's available in English and Spanish. There's a chapter on each rite and the principles that I'm explaining are there. So this tradition believes in 3 energy centers, much like other traditions. I practice Qigong and we have the same centers there. They're just called different things. But Munay is the heart center, and that's where we live and give unconditional love. Yakai is the third eye, which provides clear vision and thinking. And Lankai is down at our belly center, and that supports us in walking in service and living in action that is in accordance with our beliefs and our values. So when we receive a rite or when we do the exercises for integrating the rite, we open sacred space and we open what's called our Viracocha. You're probably familiar with the idea of a Viracocha. It's the protective bubble around you. And when we open it or close it in this tradition, we start with our hands in prayer position at our Munay center, at our heart, and we go straight up above our head, and we open like we're opening the folds of a bubble or a beautiful tapestry that's woven around us. And then we drop the folds of the tapestry to the ground, and that takes us outside of space and time to receive. And then when we're finished, we reach down and we pick up the folds of the tapestry or the bubble from around the ground, and we lift it up above our heads and just tie it there and come back down. So for those of you who want to receive the healer's rite, and I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions before you do, we open sacred space by calling in the 4 directions and giving our attention to the present moment. We prepare our space with a candle and smudge, whatever kind of smudge calls to you or whatever is used traditionally on the lands that you're on. And then we feel into our hearts for our love and humility and call in the 4 directions and the archetypes. So each time you connect with the lineage for the purposes of doing a ceremony or the integration activity, which I'll show you later, you open sacred space and your Viracocha. And then when you're finished, you close sacred space and your Viracocha. I'm going to stop here because the rest of the slides are for people who want to receive this. So let me just stop sharing and see if there's any questions.
So you said this is the healer's rite or part of the healer's rite?
This is the full healer's rite. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want to receive it, I recommend that you grab like a crystal or a stone to hold on to during it. And I will light a candle and smudge, and we can do that. But if you have questions, this is a good time to ask them too.
I'm down.
Awesome. I think Lee said she was going to get a crystal, so I'm going to go ahead and light my candle.
I didn't realize I was muted, but yes, I have my crystal.
And then I invite you to just take in some of this smudge, take it into your crown and your 3 centers. I'm going to smudge all the way down here. Okay. Okay, so usually we don't record the giving of the rite, but that's okay. We can record it.
Are you sure? I can pause it. It's up to you.
Actually, that would be great if you could pause it.
Well, welcome, Kay. I have a little story about declining. I have 2 stories actually. Sometimes when I'm walking in the woods, I like to touch trees because I love trees. But I usually ask because sometimes I'll get like a shock if I touch a tree without permission, or sometimes they'll say no. And yeah, like it just feels like electric. And with regard to stone, my little grandson just loves nothing more than picking up stones and throwing them into the pond or the lake. And I think, oh great, I'm just hearing the stone thing. It took me a million years to get here, and he just throws them back in the pond. But I will ask him in the future to ask permission.
Yeah, asking permission of nature is a really powerful practice. And we have lived in a colonized society that doesn't view other things as being conscious. And so we have this kind of extraction mentality or ownership mentality that we can do whatever we want. And that starts to transform as our relationship with the Hampe lineage deepens.
Even things that we know are conscious, like our pets or cows and pigs, like people just act like they're not conscious. When we know they are.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. I think it's probably a self-justification.
Yeah, it's some collective wounds that we need to heal. Like we've been conditioned to be this way. We weren't always this way, but we've been conditioned to be this way. And this is kind of a reconditioning pattern that we're stepping into. And there's an invitation to step into it. If you decide to or not is up to you.
I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. Thank you, Steph. When we were doing I could feel like my hands were just throbbing, like they were just so energized. We had the part when we're holding the crystals to our heart, I just felt like throb. It was great.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way this lineage works. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but it's the first rite that most Pacos receive, and I'm gonna just use the word Pacos, interchangeably with shamans. But in the villages up in the mountains, healers were needed. So people that wanted to be on the path of service would receive this one first. And it's a very like earth-based type of feeling. The frequency is very close to the earth's, and it's excellent for doing things like setting bones or, helping burns heal, those kinds of things. When Maggie and I, she's my dog, were walking on the beach, I think it's been a couple of years ago now, and this other dog was kind of playing with her, and it like shoulder butted her, and she fell on her back hip wrong, and it came out of the socket, and she was yiping, like really yiping loudly, and it was really stressful. And so I called my husband, and I was like, you've got to come down to the beach and carry her home. She can't walk, she can't, her legs hurt. And he's like, what happened? Because she's still yiping. And I laid her down, and I was going to go do Reiki or Qigong healing on her. And as soon as I put my hands over her hip, before I even set an intention, I felt this energy come out of my hands. And the only way I know how to describe it, that I knew it wasn't energy I'd had before, was it was like clunky. I don't know how to, it was like a heavy movement from my hands, but I didn't touch her, but it immediately popped her hip back into place, and she stopped yiping. And when my husband got there a couple minutes later, he was like, oh, she was up and walking. He's like, she seems fine. And I was like, I know, it was kind of a lucky miracle that happened. So I think you'll notice that it's different, and it blends seamlessly with other healing modalities you may use. It just decides like when to add in and come along or not.
Wow, I can't wait to start doing some energy medicine, see how that feels.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about your experience.
Yeah,
So
when you
So try it after you do your mandala. Do your mandala. You don't have to close your mandala, but open your mandala first, as to help create that bridge with the lineage, and then try it.
Maybe you could remind us how to close the mandala. Well, I mean, we're going to create the mandala, and you mean close it by dispersing it? Is that what you mean by closing it?
You can leave it as it is, or you can disperse it. But when you open it, you'll open sacred space the same way we did, and open your Viracocha. You'll collect your items, and you'll create it, and then you'll visit it every so often, as long as you have it open. When you feel like it's ready to be closed, you'll go back and close a call in the four directions again, and open your Viracocha, close it, and then close your Viracocha and close sacred space again. And you can reuse the items, or you can leave them there, whatever feels good to you. And the instructions will be in the slides, and the other integration activities will be in the slides too.
And since
I'm going to send them to you, Sana, because I think you probably have the emails of people.
yeah, okay. And since Kay came in late, is when's the next time you're doing the first rite again? Maybe she could join then.
Yeah, I don't have a date right now, but I post the information on vitaanima.org, and I've been guided to create cohorts of people that want to take the rites together. And we're going to do like 3 rites at a time. So we'll do the healer's rites, the bands of power and protection, and the harmony rite, like one a month for 3 months. And then we'll start the next one. And so information is in Vita Anima. I usually wait for people to ask for it, or for my intuition to tell me that there are people that are ready to receive it before offering it. So if at any time, you're interested in getting it, you can send me a message on Vita Anima's Facebook page, or email me at Stephanie@VitaAnima, and I can give the rite that way. And then I also teach people to pass the rite to others. So that's something that if you're really finding yourself loving this, you might be called to do that too.
Okay, the talk before the rites will be on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. And I can send the slides to you as well because I do have your email. I'm hoping this is Kay Thomas. And and then
Yes.
okay, hello dear, good to have you.
Hi, thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's quite all right. Just glad you could join us. And then you could reach out to Steph if you want to get the right or join this group. So it's lovely. I would love to get some of the other
Great.
rites at least. Do they need to be done in order?
The healer's rite has to be done before the higher frequency rites, like the day keepers and the wisdom keepers, the star keepers, and those. But the healer's rite, the bands of power and protection, the harmony rite, and the rites of the womb can be done in any order. And I can also do them in person. If there are people that want to receive one or two or three, like over a weekend, I can come to Richmond and do that. A lot of people work with the rites without like making it explicit. I'm sure some of you have been to ceremonies. That's where people opened the ceremony, calling in sacred space, very similar to how we did today. They're working with the rites, even if they're not saying it, if they're calling in sacred space this way.
Hmm. Well, I love the idea of doing it in person. We could all gather at my place.
Yeah, it's really lovely to be together when you're doing it.
Well, thanks for that offer, Steph. I guess we could um, maybe propose a date and put it in the newsletter and just see if we get enough interest. That
That
would,
would be great.
yeah, it would be great to do it in person. That would be fun. It's so rare, seems so rare we get together in person. Okay, so we are at the end of our time. That was so beautiful, Steph. And I mean, you just told me about it. I know more than once over the years, and I'm so grateful to finally get to experience this beautiful rite and receive it. I just love the energy. It was so beautiful. It felt good. It looked good. I mean, it's just really lovely. I'm excited to be in relationship with the energy going forward. So, let's see. So we're going to just wrap up here. Just to start with the next month, oops, the 27th. I think that's wrong. Sorry. Oh, it is the 27th. Okay, so our next gather session is Sunday, the July 27th, the basics of EFT tapping. So somebody in the IONS community requested this course. So Victoria will have a mini session. So hope you'll join us so you could try it out. Foundation for Family and Community Healing has an EFT tapping course to go along with it, a digital course. You can go through it at your own pace. And as usual, we appreciate any donations if you feel so inclined to support our mission. And if you if you're not on the Sanctuary of Earth newsletter list, please let me know and we could add it to you. If you think you registered but you haven't been getting them, check your spam. Okay, so just the final thing is for me to give away a free 30-minute session. And there's 3 of you here. So Steph, could you pick a number between 1 and 3?
3.
3. Okay, Kay, so you're the lucky winner of a 30-minute session with me. So here's a bit of trivia. Kay was my first guest on Tarot for Starseed, my new ethereal TV show. And yes, and it was such a sweet reading. And by the way, Ethereal has launched on Amazon Fire, and it is launching tomorrow on Roku. And they are going to be working to launch it onto Apple TV before long. So I've seen the finished show, Kay. I'm so
Oh,
happy that you're my first guest, and you'll be the first show for Tarot for Starseed. And
oh my gosh.
it's really beautiful. So let's just all set our hopes for Ethereal being a super big success.
Yes.
Okay, so we can set a time to convene again, and it would be wonderful to have a little more time to get to know you as well. So thanks again, Steph. That was great. Thanks, Lise, for joining. Thanks, Kay, for joining as well. And we'll see you all next month.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Sorry for my tardiness. I really got hung up, Santa.
No worries, dear. All divine timing and manner. Whoever's meant to be here when we're meant to be here are here.
Yes.